The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Fantastic Forum, assemble! You're watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you should stick with us. We'll help you take it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our riddle inside of an enigma trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You'll love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Jay? Next, he is our intrepid senior reporter. He's next in line for the cowl. He is our resident Dark Knight detective. It's Oz.
When I suggested the book last week, I didn't realize I was suggesting a Booster Gold book.
Ha! Likely story.
Although clearly the greatest superhero of all time.
Next, he's the backbone, the pillar, the strength of Fantastic Forum, our nigh invulnerable brawler and resident strongman, Moses Magnum.
I think I read the wrong book.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. And of course, my name is Lawrence Young. They call me Mary Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We do have a great show for you today because we are going to be talking to you all about the latest movie in the MCU. We're going to be talking about Thunderbolts. And we're going to be talking to you all about the basically the Free Comic Book Day experience and a couple books that came out on Free Comic Book Day, and of course whatever else it is that you all want to talk about, and we'll let you know how it is you can get down with Fantastic Forum in just a moment. But before we do, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him this show would not exist. So thank you, Scott Rubin. Hope all is well with you, good sir. And with that said, let's go ahead and have the intern do their thing.
Want to get in on the action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
FantasticForum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
Indeed. So yeah, do what the intern says. FantasticForum.live is the place to be. You can go to the call-in button, and you potentially could be the fifth member of Fantastic Forum. If you are a bit shy and don't want to be on camera, you can always jump into chat. We'll take your comments directly out of chat and bring them into the show, such as insert witty chat comment here, Jay.
Hey, Zilla says I have comic book things to talk about.
I love it. When members of our audience have comic book things to talk about, that's what makes me happy. That's what the fire inside burns when the people in our audience have comic book things to talk about.
There's a cream for that.
Yes. I push it to the side. I'm like, I just feel the sear. I'm like, yeah.
I'm gonna have to isolate that clip. Minute 3:33.
So yeah, man.
He's making up for some time.
It's like,
So anyway, folks,
what was Larry talking about here?
No, man.
Probably Cyclops.
So listen, there it is, baby. There it is. Always.
It is a concussive blast.
Whoa. So
Lift you off the ground.
Listen, man. Have you all been keeping up with Andor?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I saw the
Listen.
one episode and that was it.
Listen.
I'm behind. I haven't even seen the first season.
I want to.
You all need to mess with this show.
I got burned out on too
God.
much Star Wars.
What do you mean?
Andor is surprisingly like the least Star Wars of all the Star Wars.
I know, that's why I said it.
Oh.
But that's
It's like,
the thing.
and if anything, like if you were burnt out, like that's what could get you back in.
It's not, but and that's the thing.
Or it's the one you should give a chance at least.
100%, dude. It is so good, man. Like this show. Like, let me just tell you, man. Like, what I got the last episode Andor, and I'm not going to spoil anything or whatnot, but what I will say is it did something that I was like so impressed by, because creatively the folks that run the show, they obviously wanted to do something. And from a canon perspective, it was like, well, if they do that, then it's going to break canon. And they did what they wanted to do and still managed to fit it within canon in such a way that it made sense within the context of both the show, like in the context of Andor, and the other canon show that we all enjoy and love and whatnot. Look, I won't say I enjoy it and love it.
You're probably explaining it wrong.
No, I'm explaining it perfect. This is exactly what has happened. Like they could have flaunted. Like, let's put it like this: Andor is such a big success that they could have just been like, our show is better than that show, and so we're just gonna do what we want and not worry about what they did on that show, and just been like, we're gonna do this instead. And more likely than not, like Lucasfilm or whichever Lucas division would have just been like, sure. But they didn't do that. They were like, can we do this? And like they basically were like, they did a compromise. And the compromise was done in such a fashion that it's like it kept the integrity of the show that we have seen already that is in canon, along with offering Andor the ability to do what Andor needed to do too. And it's just phenomenal, man. It's good stuff. Like,
I'm okay.
Y'all need to mess with it.
I'm okay with them taking some shows out of canon. I mean, look, the books are great, and they threw those away.
No, I agree, and trust me, I'm not saying. Here's the thing: I'm not saying, like, you all know how I feel about the extended universe.
Can you
stuff.
name the show that you're referring to, even if not saying what happened?
Yeah, I can do that. No, Rebels.
Can you say what happened?
Oh, people love Rebels.
Right. Well, yeah, but not you all. You all don't watch Rebels.
No. Yeah, but
you all don't watch Rebels.
Well, yeah, but people love Rebels. Like,
yeah, well, listen, I'm not saying that. Like, I wasn't talking about the context of Star Wars fans. I'm talking about the context of Fantastic Forum, and y'all suck. Because when I was telling y'all to watch Rebels, y'all didn't want to watch it. You told me, oh, the slingshot, and then Rebels ended up being probably one of the most pivotal friggin' shows in a minute before, because this is all pre the Mandalorian and all that kind of stuff, and like there's so much stuff that Rebels laid the groundwork for. And
I still crack up because like I still remember Joe saying like he's like, he's got a slingshot. He's like Bart Simpson. Like I still laugh every time.
He did say that.
He's like, Bart Simpson has a slingshot. Is he gonna be the savior of the rebellion?
Right. No, and you're too funny, because you're right, because that and it's like at the time it's so funny because I was like, no man, like I remember telling you, no, but it's a good show. But when you said it like that, I was like, damn, that made me sound crazy. But I'm like, but it's a good show though. I'm like, I know it's a good show because I watched it. And sure enough, I didn't have any idea like where they were going to take it, and it ended up being a much better.
That's why I haven't watched Andor, because I haven't watched Rebels.
No. Yeah, he's not
going to get that episode at all.
That's not why at all. Listen,
I
man,
haven't watched it just because I haven't had time.
You have time, Joe. I'm here to tell you.
Well, okay. I will say I'm dedicating my time to. I'm doing the singular focus thing.
Yeah, he's
So
focused.
it's like right now it's Attack on Titan. So
and I can't wait till that is done so that he could start
done?
this.
What, Night of the Living Cat? Is that what that says?
Yeah.
What is that? A manga?
Yeah. It's like a zombie apocalypse, but cats. Like they started rubbing on you. Huh?
You didn't buy that. Who gave you that?
No, I did buy it.
No.
A free comic book day.
Like it starts off at Lawrence's house during the cat apocalypse.
They start rubbing up against you, and then little by little you turn into a cat. like within 5 minutes.
Wait, is that true? Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's what the story here.
5 minutes? Wow.
Something like that. They start purring on you and licking you, and then rubbing up against you, and then before you know it, you're a cat.
Wait, what?
That's
So-
interesting.
Yeah.
Look, I would 100% fall for that. Like that
And
would
it's
like
a-
I'd be a
Well, it's
I'd be a cat
a
in
virus.
3.5 minutes.
It's a virus that like one cat was born with. They call him Origin, and it's like one cat was born with it and with the virus, and because so much of the population has cats, and there's so many cats around and cat rescues and everything, it spread like really quick across the planet.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If there was some sort of disease that spread via cat, it's like it'd be done. It'd be done.
Fuck. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how the Black
100%.
Plague happened, because it was mice.
Yeah.
Yeah, mice are different.
And
I think.
people hate
but-
mice.
But they were killing cats because of witchcraft then, so they didn't have enough cats.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why they would
Yeah.
blame the witches for being witches, because it was a lady that had a cat that killed all the mice, so she didn't get sick. And they're like, "Oh, she's a witch."
So crazy.
And she does math.
And she does math. That's hilarious. Hecht is in the building. What up there, Hecht? How are you, good sir?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, man. Happy to have you here. Look, I'm loving your profile photo today. I like it. Feels very on theme.
I like it because I don't like the art.
Hey, listen, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. So hold that thought. Hold that thought. But yeah. Let me ask you, Hecht, have you seen Thunderbolts?
I wish.
Damn
I
it.
had no plan to, and then from last week's show and Oz telling us the alternate title, then
The
all
new
of a sudden
The true
the
title.
new title.
The true title.
Then
true
it
title.
started spreading. It started spreading like that dead cat.
Indeed.
Like
Indeed.
virus
Okay.
and
Well, listen, it is just past the opening weekend, so we're going to try to keep things as spoiler free as possible. But of course, in true
I'm not.
Fantastic Forum fashion, these guys were spoiling stuff from before the movie came out. So hey, listen, I guess that's what
I hadn't
I wasn't here
watched
to be
it.
like no. I wasn't
I
here to
put
be
it-
like no.
I put it out there that I hadn't watched it. I could have just been full of crap and just heard from people talking crap. I don't know. It was all rumors and
Now-
innuendos. I just happened to be right because
Now let me just say before we go further, I want to thank you all for all the kind things that you all said. In regards to me losing my grandmother. Thank you all.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it. Like that was awesome.
Why you
I
gotta
just
bring
want to
up
let you. Just
bullshit,
want to
man?
acknowledge it before we get into all this additional BS. But thank you all. You all are awesome. You all know I love you all. Look, I say it, and I love the looks on your faces when I do. Especially like my best, like the best is when I think Oz is my favorite because I feel like Oz is the
my
cringiest. Like
pants fall
Oz,
down every time.
like anytime I'm in the same room with Oz and I give him a hug, he's like, you could tell, like he's like, why would you do this?
From penis.
Because of the erection. If it was just,
Hey, listen, it's not our fault. We're all dead sexy. It's not our fault. Like Heck gets it.
Hey.
Like Heck has the same problem. I know. I know. So okay. We should get into this.
Same problem. Used to have.
Oh no, you used to. Look, we know what you look like, Heck. Look, you're still a phenom. Don't let anybody tell you different, Heck. There it is. Look, he's laughing. He's like, he right.
He did that bashful laugh.
Right. He's like, ah, man, you weren't supposed to say that out
He's being
loud.
modest, yeah.
Oh,
They were just supposed to infer. Like, all right, let's get into this Thunderbolts review. Let's go.
the end.
Comic book theater.
Shout out to Tiger Claw. It's like, I don't know if you're in the building, Tiger Claw, but if you are, shout out to you either way, friend. Thunderbolts. Okay. Latest MCU flick. You know, it's interesting because I'm trying to think if there's a MCU movie that's more submersive in its title than this. And I'm not talking about what you were talking about, Oz, in regards to, you know, spoilers and all that kind of stuff. What I'm talking about more so is the idea, like, okay, like, obviously, like, mainstream wise, people don't know who the Thunderbolts are, right? Like, no people have no clue what, like, if you went out on the street before this movie came out and you're like, hey, tell me who the Thunderbolts are, like, your mainstream media, like, or not media, your mainstream, like, individual, like, you know, they wouldn't know, right?
Like, yeah, name like one original like team, because the team changes so often.
Yeah. No, you're right, exactly right. The team, like, the roster for Thunderbolts is definitely varied, so there's that. But just the concept, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even, like, you know, but like if you're like, who are the Thunderbolts? I don't feel like there would have been, like, somebody that doesn't read comics would never be able to tell you who the Thunderbolts are, right?
That's one of them shows from the 60s, right? With the puppets?
Exactly, right. That's exactly what it sounds like. I feel like that's what you would get, right? When people be talking about, like, the Avengers, right? But, like, the 1960 Avengers, right? They try to do something like that, like some type of spy thriller type stuff, which ironically is not very far off from what we were getting in this. But anyway, but even with the people that do read comics, like, I feel like if you're not like a Marvel guy, you don't necessarily know anything about the Thunderbolts either, right? Like, unless you're like, and I'm not saying you got to be like necessarily, well, I mean, you kind of, in my mind, I feel like you have to be somewhat of a diehard Marvel person to
and
be
older, like, I think, too. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
about it right now.
Well,
go ahead.
Right now, like, the OG Thunderbolts team is like 20 years old. 25.
Listen, and
yeah.
and right. Go ahead, Jay.
When the Suicide Squad movie came out, they did a new Thunderbolts run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the point?
The point is, they're semi-current. Like,
yeah,
no,
you wouldn't have to know like 60s comics to get who they are.
Well, no. I'm sorry. And don't get me wrong. Like,
they're Marvel Suicide Squad.
No. See, and that's the thing. See, you're helping me prove my point here, Jay, because that's the thing where that's like how they kind of like, that's how they present, right, to a degree.
That's kind of how they promoted this movie a little bit.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not mad at that by any way, shape, or form. But this is what I'm saying, where it's like, that's like the Thunderbolts, as far as like the original concept. Like, the original concept for Thunderbolts is literally villains masquerading as heroes. And now, and don't get me wrong, and the reason I'm bringing this up is just because it's like Thunderbolts is definitely in the same kind of category of like Guardians of the Galaxy, in the sense where it's like people had no idea. Like, even if you're a comic book fan, you may not necessarily be like a Guardians of the Galaxy fan or have any, like, you know, like you don't care what they do with that particular franchise or whatever.
I do,
you know,
where I did.
No, and right, and this is, but, and here's the thing, like, Moses, I agree, because I feel like we've had conversations about Thunderbolts in the past before there was any even inkling of a
MCU.
movie. Right, before inkling of an MCU. You're absolutely right, which is crazy, but it's interesting for me just because I feel like this is a opportunity where I feel like you're in the space I was in when they're making these Guardians of the Galaxy movies, where it's like, you know, you actually like, oh no, like the Thunderbolts as a concept and as a book is something that I like and like I'm interested in, and I would like for that to be something that they kind of get right. And, you know, like, I feel like Guardians, I was like, okay, I was very much alone in that, where most people are just like, you know. But here's the thing, I feel what the main point I'm trying to make is I feel like Guardians is different though, in the sense that I feel like Guardians was like something where, like Guardians for like, despite it being just like a fringe kind of franchise, I feel like Guardians, as fringe as it is still a little bit more mainstream than Thunderbolts, which is a wild thing to think, just because it's like
Before or after the movie?
Oh, before the movie. But
Yeah.
all I'm talking about is how people, what was the perception before somebody decided they were going to make it into a mass media product.
And
And
remember, it's because Jay wanted it. Like, Jay, what do you want to see out of this Comic Con? Announced, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And boom, later that night, woke up in the morning, Jay, what the fuck, man?
Listen, Jay's powers might even be expanding, because Jay might not, he didn't even want Thunderbolts, but it happened. And so who knows? Jay might just be like, this might be something that he's like, maybe I might want that in the future if I knew it existed. That's Jay's secondary mutation.
It was his idea to put the asterisk on it.
Exactly, right? But it's such an interesting thing to see, just because literally the original concept for the Thunderbolts comic book was the Masters of Evil, which is like, there's a lot of iterations of the Masters of Evil as well, but it's like basically it's a group of villains headed up by Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
And these guys, as a plan, were like, we're gonna masquerade as heroes, as a new superhero team. And they were like, we're gonna be like, we're gonna take what we normally do, but we're just gonna like put new costumes on and pretend to be heroes, and we're gonna like infiltrate the superhero world, but still forward our own agenda while we're pretending to be heroes. So that's the original concept for Thunderbolts.
Some of them didn't even change their costume. Like Radioactive Man was still the same.
Was he?
Yeah, because he can't put anything on. Like he burns.
Yeah, I know he can't. Yeah. But was he original Thunderbolt?
I think so. Maybe the second iteration, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know what you're saying though. Like, yeah. Like, I think also like Moonstone, I think changed their costume. But
yeah,
big time, because it was like she hadn't been seen since like the 80s.
Right. No, absolutely. And then eventually, Thunderbolts does actually become something closer to like a Suicide Squad in Marvel's, in the Marvel universe, because what happens is you have Thunderbolt Ross, who actually, at a certain point, like takes that concept, which we saw friggin' Ross in Captain America, Brave New World, which and I don't. Do they refer to him as Thunderbolt Ross in that movie? I don't even remember. Maybe once or twice, huh?
Not. I think mainly in the second Hulk one. I think.
Yeah, definitely in the Hulk they do.
Yeah.
But either way, like, because I feel like they're trying to clean up his image because he's president, right?
And
right.
I think even in Civil War, I think they probably call him that too.
Yeah, but so Thunderbolt Ross becomes like the Amanda Waller in the Marvel universe and starts like, oh, okay, well, and takes that concept and is like, okay, well, I'll take some of these villains and have them work for me. And then you get like the Thunderbolts, and that's where we get like the Suicide Squad kind of angle. But even this movie is not like Suicide Squad, but Marvel. Like, that's not what this movie is. It's like, it definitely has like anti-hero vibes to it, but I feel like that's kind of a different thing. Or am I wrong in feeling that? What do you all think?
I don't think you're wrong in that, but it's the way that this movie was written that makes it so great, in the sense that they have no heroes to fight, because they're all pretty much gone or dealing with bigger things, Yeah. So now and then the government right now is like essentially infiltrated, and they're being used. And they're like, well, no, like I want to do, at this point, I want to do something good. So it kind of hints back to a little bit of that original, the run of Thunderbolts where it's like they kind of want to do, because they also were like some of them did have intentions of being reformed in the first one, you know, like because they were tired of like we're always losing because we suck at being bad guys, so let's try being good, and that's why they join in, like, you know, so like, that hence Radioactive Man.
Hilarious.
So and yeah, I think this kind of has that vibe where it's like they're like the world's a different place after the snap, and everybody's a little weird, you know.
Everybody's a little weird, but what I can tell you is this: is like I didn't have like from what I saw about the movie Thunderbolts, I didn't have like I thought it would be good. I did, but you know, I'm naturally optimistic. Everyone knows this about me that's been watching this show for a while. However, there was no part of me that was thinking like, okay, like this is going to be like a great movie. And so, you know, coming out the other side of this, I was kind of like, okay. like it made me have to rethink my entire like thought process on what or I guess my expectations for MCU movies.
Your biases.
I don't even know if I would say biases, because that's the thing where it wasn't so much like it was just more about the idea of like, you know, like the movie, especially like how it promoted itself. It definitely promoted itself in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. And what I will say about the marketing for this movie that I feel was very masterful is it managed expectations really well. You know, in the sense that it wasn't trying to necessarily sell you on the idea that this was going to be a blockbuster. It more so was like kind of like it almost like the movie itself almost like was taking jabs at what MCU movies had, like the perception of MCU movies up until this point, like lately, not ever. But you know, because we all know that the general perception is like people have been judging Marvel movies against Endgame since that ended, which is, you know, I mean, I don't know that I don't think that that's fair, you know, but let's say it is. It's like nothing has measured up to Endgame. General, or very few things have measured up to Endgame. I won't say nothing, but very few things have measured up to Endgame since that happened. And I feel like that's been people's barometer, and it's kind of like that's kind of crazy. Like it's the end of a like 10-year, you know, process, and you're saying the next movie should be as good as that. And it's like, okay. But I feel like this movie leaned into the idea that you're like, oh, hey, maybe our joint, like maybe these movies aren't as good as they had been in the past. Like you literally have the thing they put into the promo where they're like, oh wait, what is all we do is kick and punch, right? Like everybody on this team has the same power basically. Is like what they like they say that in the movie, and then put that in the promo material, and it's kind of like, okay, like they're making fun of themselves at that point, you know? And so I feel like it did a good job at level setting. And then when we got the movie we got, it's kind of like, okay. But that's how I feel. Like, let's look, Oz, let's go to you first. How did you feel coming out of Thunderbolts?
I'm surprised that I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting to. I was comparing it to the Suicide Squad also.
Yeah.
I like that they weren't created as a team. It's just something that happens.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I wish I could have seen a little bit more team stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me see, how can I say this without spoiling? So, is she White
Are you
Widow?
talking? Oh, go
Is
ahead.
that are we calling her White Widow? Is that what she is? Because I
Yeah,
don't.
why not?
Okay, like her bit towards the end. I'll call it the psychological bit.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to see the other characters more in that space.
Got you.
Because half of her stuff we'd already seen,
Right.
like 2 other times. I didn't
Right,
need it
right.
a third time. So little things like that. But all in all, I mean, it was really well done, and they do get their portions when they're in the city
Mm-hmm.
and doing what they're supposed to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
they get their moments, which I kind of
Right.
like. And I mean, even in the trailer, Bucky gets his moment with the motorcycle stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot better than I thought it was gonna be.
I hear you. And like I feel where you're coming from in the sense that it would have been nice to see a little bit more of the rest of the cast. But yeah, this is definitely the way they shot it and the way that it's edited. Like this is Florence Pugh's movie, right? Like it like she's the star of this joint, and I mean I think that that's intentional.
It's even her character that names the Thunderbolts.
It's a sequel to that Black Widow movie.
100%.
Yeah,
I agree.
And her like scene in Hawkeye. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. But like it like I said, she's the star of this joint without question. So, and you realize that right from the beginning of the movie. So, or at least they set the tone for that, I should say, right at the beginning of the movie. But
like,
I'm not.
I didn't. When you talk about that psychological part, like I don't mind not seeing Bucky's. Like we've seen Bucky's go through the whole like all the phases. Like he's gone through. We've seen that part of him, that regretful part, the part that he doesn't like.
Yeah, he had a whole show dedicated to that.
Exactly. And then
See,
who
but
else? Like
I would disagree with that.
All right.
No, I mean only because like. No,
but it would have been. Look, I'm agreeing with Mo because he had.
I know
we've seen him deal with that a lot, and
we have.
It's just a simple matter of he's in that space, and it's like, dude,
if you get 10 minutes of him in the void, that's a waste of 10 minutes because you're gonna see things you already saw. Like the killing of the Starks is the biggest thing in his thing that gives him regret. That they wrote it that way. Like, what are they gonna do? Yeah. Like, we're gonna see that he killed Kennedy too. Like, that's like Watchmen-y. Like, we don't need to see
Hopefully.
that. Yeah, like he was the guy that missed that Trump. Like, yeah, we don't want to see that.
I pictured it as he's in that space and he's like, I already dealt with it, and just keeps moving to find the rest.
Again, that's a waste of 2 minutes of film. Like,
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and then like the Red Guardian, like this movie, we saw him work his shit out. Like all he wants is to save people and be famous, So it's like he doesn't care how bad he even tells her before she goes into the void. We all did bad things, but we got to focus on the good. Like, if anything, he's the most well-equipped one to go into the void and get him out of there. He just didn't have that motivation. He had fear,
Yeah,
so,
right.
And that's and he had fear because he wants to take care of the White Widow. And,
right.
Well, Ghost is like nobody. As great as that character is, nobody gave a fuck about that character. Like,
I mean. Listen, I think there was opportunity there personally, but
that's one. But again, we're gonna see stuff we haven't seen before, and it's like this isn't her movie. Yeah.
Well, but that's the whole thing, right? Where it's like it was interesting because in my mind I was thinking like, okay, well maybe we'll get like a little bit more from her in this, just because my thought process was like the people we haven't seen anything from or as much from, is White Widow, Ghost, and Taskmaster. And so I'm like, maybe we'll see more from them. But it turned out, no, we're only going to see White Widow. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they're like, look, only room for 1 star in this movie, goddamn. So I'm like, okay, hey,
I did want
I'm
more
mad at it.
Taskmaster.
Say it again, Jay.
I did want more Taskmaster.
Yeah,
That was
like
disappointing.
I was shocked by that
like,
myself.
Like I think Jay and I are probably simpatico in this, where we didn't like how that Taskmaster was in that Black Widow movie, but what it is, let's see what they do with it now. Like they could still make it good, and they started to, like, they even redesigned the Taskmaster mask, and it looked better. It looked more like a skull. It looked cleaner, cooler, and the fight scenes were tight. And then boom,
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, and then that's not how
Yeah.
That's not how I like to see the Taskmaster go either.
Yeah.
Like I like to see the Taskmaster go and like, okay, they're dead. I say they because I'm hopeful that she identifies as a man, but just because I'm used to my Taskmaster being a dude. Yeah. So, but either way, like it's like, oh, maybe they could have survived.
I mean, you never know. Look, comic book movies are closer to comics than they've ever been. So
that
maybe
fight
we'll get
scene had an amazing shot with that throwing knife.
Oh, it's fantastic! So good.
I could just watch a clip of that on
TV.
It was so cool.
It was very cool.
Like they're fighting shield versus shield, kind of like, and where bounced it off the ground, and I know. I feel like I've seen that in the comic, but I feel like Jay has seen it for sure. Like, within Finesse, reading Finesse or Taskmaster comics. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your expectation going in, Jay?
Going in, I just kind of thought they were gonna do like Marvel's Suicide Squad.
Okay.
And I don't think that's what we got.
Yeah.
Like, we got definitely something that kind of stands on its own. And I will say I did enjoy the chemistry between the characters more in this. Like the characters ended up having like really good chemistry. Especially, and I didn't think I would like him that much, but Walker in this was great.
Yeah. I agree.
Like,
I agree. Listen, I didn't think I would like any of these characters as much as I ended up liking them in this movie. Like, and not only did I like them individually, but I liked them together, which I was just like, it felt very ragtag. And I'm just like, like, why? Like, there's no good reason for this movie to have these people in it, especially because they're, again, like I said, I'm a Marvel guy, so
and they're not Thunderbolts.
When I hear Thunderbolts, I have a particular preconception about what Thunderbolts should be, and like you did mention earlier, Jay, like they've come out with Thunderbolts comics recently, and they did come out with like a Thunderbolts comics team that is closer to this because they knew they were making this movie, right? So they tried to do like the synergy or whatever. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't read that comic. I mean, listen, I'm just like, there's no reason for me to read that comic. I'm just like what I can tell you is this movie definitely did a better job than whatever that comic potentially could have done, because I'm pretty sure the team was pretty much the same team that we have here. I don't think Taskmaster was on it, and I think they had Shang-Chi on there. And I'm like, I don't even like Shang-Chi. That doesn't make any sense.
How did you all feel about Bob?
Oh, that's Bob.
Yeah, that's
you guys know a lot more about conversation than I do. That's why I asked.
Yeah. What about Bob?
I don't know anything about Bob.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I feel this movie should have been called "What About Bob?"
Scene with him when what's her name went to go confront him when he was hiding out. And that's the only thing I've seen of him in the comics.
Okay.
So going into this, I knew nothing about him Or
Okay.
I should say not nothing, but very little.
Right. So okay, so the question is, what did people, or what we thought about Bob based on his perception or how he's depicted in the comics? Us?
Yeah, how they did him in the movie. Because I
Yeah.
don't know a lot about the character. I know who he
Yeah.
is, and
Yeah.
he looked great in costume. I had the issue that when they showed promo pictures of the guy as Bob, somebody said that dude looks so much like Tom Holland. He should be Ben Reilly, and that's all I see now. So the whole movie, I was just like, damn, he should be Ben Reilly.
That's hilarious. That's pretty funny. It's like I see that though. I do see that. It's too funny.
Well, I thought the costume looked good.
Yeah. What do you think, Mo? How do you feel about the depiction of Bob in this movie?
Man, I mean, like the origin, they take a little liberties with that a little bit, not by much, but definitely the effects I think for him were really good. Like his fight scene was really handled really well because he's like Superman, but not. Like, he has a little like weird kind of like time warping thing where it's like he lives 1 second ahead of everything else kind of thing. So you can see it in his fighting and the warping and dodging things. The way they handled the characters, like that's where I really like it really shined for me, or shone rather, is where like his mental illness aspect and the void, like the way they handled that was really done really, really well. And then the effect for the void was like something I didn't really expect to see it like that per se, but it's definitely, because we have different, we got the void card in Marvel Snap, so sometimes it looks kind of monstrous, like a hellscape kind of thing, or sometimes it's just a person that's hunting him, depending on which comic you're reading, or a person that threatened, like his arch nemesis essentially, but it's him, from inside. So the way they handled this is good, and that's why I kind of liked how they did it with Florence Pugh and him, because he's essentially the void is like his Hulk, and Florence Pugh is like the Black Widow or White Widow in this case, if you want to call it that. But they're like kind of like Black Widow with the Hulk, like calming him down and stuff in the old MCU. This is like that new relationship that's parallels that one. So I loved how they handled that, and it doesn't have to be a romantic one, because everybody's like pissed that romance didn't flourish. And it's like this one had no romance involved into it. It's more about just damaged people trying to cope together. And so I really liked how they handled that, and the actor I think was perfect. Like was it Bill Pullman's son?
Yeah,
his name. Yeah, but he was good. Like he was good at the like Bob guy, and then when he turns into the hero, and even like how he like turns against his creator, so it's like a Frankenstein monster type little analog there too, or a golem story. It's like you try to play God and then you're fucked, so it's like yeah, man. And then that scene where like the little girl got turned into the shadow thing, like, they saved the little girl, and there's like poof, like holy fuck, like that's like, I think it's the first time you see like a little kid get affected in the MCU like that, because normally they don't, they don't, there's no kids got affected by Chitauri.
That scene messed me up, dude. You see Red Guardian like do what he does, and you're like, yeah, it's a kid. What are they? Oh, like like right away, like don't even give me a second to breathe. Okay,
and it's still not dead, but we don't know that yet, like, and
I figured.
Yeah, I did. It was a bitch move, but it's still, they did a bitch move in a good way, Like,
it's not a bitch move if you don't say nothing. I'm saying, like, you the one talking. Like,
No, but that's the conversation. Like that's what it is. Like yeah, it's a good moment, but yeah, it's still in the end it's a long con binge move. But I'm okay with that. Like they took me on a roller coaster ride. I don't get on the Viper if I don't want to go through the loops.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
The way they handled the Sentry was good. Like I really enjoyed it. And just trying to get this team together, do it like a superhero like team up story with as an origin and move the story along. I think because the way they handled the Sentry helps in the sense that it forced them to come together whether they wanted to or not, and and it made the story like we didn't need a 3-hour long movie. They were able to do it, and it's almost like when you make the perfect comic book that just flows. Like it's like when one issue you could get everything done, and it feels long and it's only 24 pages. Yeah, and that's how this movie felt. Like it's the right amount of length, pacing's good, everything flows, and I don't know if they had to do reshoots or anything, but yeah, definitely like I like, aside from no no Taskmaster, like and I think we could have had a pretty good movie here.
Now I can tell you, like I was like a fan of the Sentry before the book even came out.
Yeah,
because
everybody.
No, because like the Sentry was preceded by an entire which it wasn't, I guess, called this at the time, but it was basically like an augmented reality kind of campaign or whatever. Like, when we had print media still, like Wizard Magazine literally ran a story about the Sentry and how it was a comic book character that Stan Lee had created with like another guy that kind of got like,
I think it was Kirby or something. Like,
it wasn't Kirby.
No,
it was like, no, it was legit like a made up person.
Okay.
Because you
mean like CB Cebulski's Asian alias?
Yes, like that. No, but it's because damn it, oh man, who the Sentry was created by Paul Jenkins, right?
Yeah.
And the book came out with, it was Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee made the original Sentry like miniseries. The guy that created the guy that they said created Sentry was Stan Lee, and then I think it was an anagram of Paul Jenkins' his name.
Oh,
so
okay.
like mixed up his letters, and it was a weird name. I can't remember what it is off the top, but it was those two, and they literally like wrote a story like this was like a thing that they had created back in the day, and it got shelved, and and so we're gonna be putting out those books now because this has been like in the vault for all this time, and we're just like on the back shelf, and somebody found it, and so we're gonna put it out. And even like, I know myself, like reading it, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is like BS. Like this feels like marketing to me, because I'm just like the idea of like there was like a whole comic book that was finished on the back shelf somewhere. It's like that doesn't make any sense to me, but okay, like I'll go with it. I like the story, the idea that it's a golden age character or a silver age character that never got released. I'm like, I'm down for that. Like, bring it on. I'm gonna read it as soon as it comes out. And so I have the entire original miniseries from its original run. And when I tell you, reading that story, I was just like, the joint is so good. Because it plays on the whole concept of like the whole idea is that everybody in the Marvel, this is a hero that was in the Marvel universe that was real but was forgotten.
Yeah.
And the fact that everybody doesn't know who he is actually plays into the story. I would definitely suggest, like, anybody that, like, if you liked the character from the movie, you should go read that original run. It's like, I think it's just 5 issues. It's worth reading. It's a different take. It's not going to be like what you saw in the movie, but I think if you like comic books anyway, you would appreciate it.
If you read issue 1, I think what you see in the movie, like when he first wakes up and he's like, kind of, you could see little by little he's remembering things, and not, and that feels a lot like reading the first issue, like his inner monologue of the first issue that you don't get in the movie because they don't have inner monologue in the movie, but you see it play out. It's like those scenes where he's like starting to figure out who he is, and they talk about his delusions of grandeur. Like if you read just the first issue, you could see those machinations in his brain in this movie.
100%, and the amnesia aspect plays into that series as well. So like
I'm just glad they didn't have Watchdog.
All that said, like, while the original origin for the Sentry is very much based in comics, and to try to do that as a 1-to-1 representation into a movie just probably couldn't happen. Almost in the same way how you have what's the character Kevin Smith came up with, the onomatopoeia dude in Daredevil,
Oh yeah.
It's like that character, it's like that might be tougher to do in, like live action, and so it's like, okay, so you have to make some kind of concessions, but the concessions that get made for the Sentry in this and how they decided to like interpret that character into a movie, it's like it feels very much like to the core of that character, and it was really interesting to watch, especially considering it's like, again, this is one of these things where like there was no part of me that ever thought I would get to see the Sentry as a live action character. Like the character, not only right, exactly, right,
well,
but even done poorly, because that's the thing where I'm just like, in my mind, I'm just like, the character doesn't necessarily lend itself to that transition. So it's like most people, I feel like, when they're like, look at the character, they're like, oh, we should do this. You're like, you know what? Maybe we can, maybe we couldn't, but they're easier characters, right? And it's interesting because even like looking at like with the success of this movie, there's been a lot of coverage of like, okay, like where did this movie come from? Because nobody was expecting this movie to be as good as it was. Nobody was. Like, anyone that tells you they were is a liar. Right?
I was on it from day one.
No, see, now you were, goddamn. And so that's what I'm saying, right? Like, it's like no one was expecting this movie to be as good as it turned out to be. And so you have a lot of people like doing coverage, like, where did this come from? And even finding out, like, I guess apparently one of the original script, like, they were saying that like the first draft or the second draft, like, first presented draft had US Agent as like the bad guy, which I'm like, that's a completely different movie, right? Where it's like, so it's interesting how we got from that to the Sentry, and it's just like, wow, like, I mean, I'm not mad at it by any means. I'm just saying, like there's like, even starting there at that point, I don't even understand how you get to Sentry. Like, who did that? Like, I would love to hear that story about how you actually like. Because they just kind of made a jump. They're like, we started here, but then we ended up here, and it turned out good. And, and it's like, okay, great, but where's the creative process on that? Let's have someone do a TED Talk or something, goddamn. Because like, I want to know who was the person that was like, so have you read The Sentry? It's because it's like, the Sentry's not, even to this day, is not like a big character in Marvel. Like, and I know that we're probably going to see him again, like, I'm sure he's going to take a more central role somewhere. But it's like, leave it to me. I would be like, no, don't do it. Like, wait for the right moment. No, really, because the Sentry can't be, he's not the kind of character that can just be, like, They did this. They did what was it? Fear Itself was a Sentry story, if I'm remembering right. With the which is the Thor crossover.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
You know what?
No, it
No,
was the
actually,
other dude. Yeah, it was a
it
snake.
wasn't it. Right, but the
Yeah.
Sentry ends up playing a bigger role in that story, if I'm not mistaken, later in the story. But it's not like you're right. It's not Sentry centric, but he plays a bigger role in it. Yeah, it's just like, dude, the Sentry. There's very few times the Sentry should be at the center of everything, and this is one of these few times in this movie where that actually worked out really well. And God bless it, man, because I'm very impressed because it's not easy, and somehow they pulled it off. somehow
the team survived.
Right now, I don't want to spoil anything here.
Yeah, you do.
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
But I do want to ask, what was the thoughts on post-credit type stuff without spoiling? Oz, what did you think?
Is that really spoiling though?
I mean, kind of, yeah. Like, let people experience it, Oz. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be a Moses.
I mean,
man, it'd be a better world if everybody was a Moses. It would be like that one world in Rick and Morty, but still.
Which one?
Cronenberg.
Anyone.
Cronenberg. Cronenberg world. It hurts so bad.
With the guys with 4 arms where the women use them to breathe. Any one of those worlds.
So what do you think, Oz?
I mean, who buys Wheaties anymore? I didn't even know they still existed.
Hilarious.
Oh, sorry, spoiler. Sorry.
You stop
spoiler.
it. You love Wheaties.
It was.
No one likes Wheaties.
I did.
No kids.
The big one, I guess.
I used to put sugar in it in bananas, but yeah.
Oh well, that's not Wheaties anymore. That's friggin' something else. Sugar and bananas.
I don't think they make
he was
it
making
anymore.
Dessert. He's like, and then I bake it in the oven at 350 for
I mean,
minutes. It's like, what? You made a souffle. Wheaties
what I do is I crush them up, then dip pork in them, and then lard and deep fry it.
It's like it's butter, lightly buttered. No. So yeah, but go ahead, Oz. I'm sorry.
I guess the big scene or whatever we're calling it, I'm fine with it. It felt like it felt. I'm used to the after credit scenes, kind of like promoting the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it kind of it's a spoiler for the next thing that they're trying to promote, sort of. Even though everybody expects it to happen, it's still like just seeing that, kind of, I don't know. It's weird. I was more interested in getting an Avengers tracksuit.
Got it. What do you think, Jay?
Oh, I liked it. I was like, yeah, I remember watching, and I literally, figuratively gasped during the scene.
Figuratively gasped?
Audibly or inaudibly?
Inaudibly.
He literally, figuratively, inaudibly gasped out loud.
That reminds me, Jay, we still need to work on our album, Audible Gasp.
There it is. What about you, Moses? What did you think of the?
I loved it. Like I'm way excited for this Fantastic Four. It looks great. They played the trailer when you were going and getting beer or whiskey for me. They played the trailer, so you didn't get to see it in the big screen. I'm probably seen it already, but I'm way excited for Fantastic Four. Like, it's one of my favorite teams, and I can't wait to see the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I the Pedro Pascal is winning me over. Like, again,
really?
I can't change it. So it's like I gotta focus what I'm gonna enjoy about it, and everything I'm seeing. Like, I'm gonna, it might not be what I want, but it's what they're giving me. But the way that, especially with the multi-dimensional spacecraft that we see here, is like that we could have, like, if it doesn't work, we could get a whole other Fantastic Four movie, you know, with a whole other cast. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
the way they're doing it, it lends itself that you could just have different Fantastic Four. Like nobody needs to get locked in on a contract. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so listen. With that said, let's do some ratings for Fantastic. For
See?
right. Let's do some ratings for Thunderbolts real quick. Oz, what would you rate Thunderbolts?
I'm gonna go with 4. It's been a while since I wanted to see a movie again.
Got you. There it is.
I'm still waiting for the streaming, but I want to see.
Right. No, I hear that. Jay, what about you?
I give it a 4 also. Needs more
Okay.
Taskmaster.
That's fair. Moses Magnum, what would you rate Thunderbolts?
4 as well. More Taskmaster, and maybe for what it was, I had a good team, but I was expecting other like maybe 2 more people. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, at least Zemo, like he's the original member, you know, and you have him there, or maybe even like Agent 13, like, you know. I know she's like the power broker, but she don't have to be. She could be down on her luck. Yeah.
You feel like down in her luck, power broker. I love it. Wait, do you feel like no, but legit? Like I get where you're coming from because I know what Thunderbolts was at its origins, and like I agree with you. The idea of a Thunderbolts team that doesn't have a Zemo is kind of wild to me. However, most Thunderbolts teams at this point haven't had Zemo.
They haven't, but Marvel has a good Zemo, like that.
I agree.
Like he's already almost anti-hero-y, not even, you know, he already fits, you know.
He potentially could have fit. However, would Zemo have made this movie better or like?
No, I like what I got. I do like what I got. Yeah.
And listen, because there's the thing. Like,
that's a whole other 10 minutes in the void that I don't want to see. You know.
Hilarious. No, and that's the whole thing. From my perspective, I'm thinking about it where I'm like, there's definitely a part of me that feels exactly how you do, where it's like Zemo should have been in this movie just because Baron Zemo is like the origin of Thunderbolts. But with the movie they made, it's like.
But even the way they use Zemo in the MCU, like he fits being here. Like,
yes and no, right?
Yeah. But again,
I hear you, right?
Yeah. But again, the threat they're facing and the way they came together, like it fits just right the way it is.
Yeah.
But and again, the way it turned out with New Avengers, then it's like, all right, that's a whole other thing. And then the conflict that when you talk about post-credit scenes, like one of the things, we talk about Fantastic Four, but the conflict that we're seeing in the future for them is battling whatever Avengers team Sam Wilson decides to finally nut it up and is going to do something. You know, took him long enough. You know, and you know, so it's like that this conflict of them being like the bastard Avengers is a little, you know, it's interesting. You know, and the group we have here fits that perfectly.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it 4.5. Because, I mean, I agree. Like I think my only thing is like, dude, like I feel like that, like I wasn't a big fan. Again, I feel like how most of you feel, whereas like I wasn't a huge fan of like the version of the Taskmaster they made into the MCU, but you did it, so we could potentially like try to do something with that. And I think that is a wasted opportunity. We get a little bit, but not enough. And so I'll give it a 4.5 for that reason. But otherwise, I'm kind of blown away by how much I enjoyed this movie, man. It feels very much like Marvel might be back on track from a studio perspective.
I thought that Indian girl was going to be like Songbird or something. Because in one...
Why?
Because in a couple scenes, she had like a little necklace that had like a dove like diving down. And I'm like, that's Songbird. Like, so, and especially like how she's like working with Bucky and everything. And I was like, that's gonna be Songbird. Like, she's gonna display some powers or some shit later on that she's been hiding because she doesn't want to be, you know. But then that didn't happen. It just turns out she's like evangelical.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
She's like, who's the new pope? There it is. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's go to let's talk about some comics.
How about?
What?
Comic book review.
Like
Review.
well, not like that, but like
Indeed. All right. So, Headman, look,
Yeah.
appreciate you hanging out. You've been out here. You did say you had some comic book things to talk about. What kind of comic book things did you want to talk about before we get into some other comic book stuff?
So along with Free Comic Book Day, I bought I bought 2 comics.
Yeah. What'd you
One,
buy?
Absolute Batman, you know.
And
whatever.
this happened like on Saturday. You went out
No,
to Free Comic Book.
I didn't get there till Monday.
Okay.
I got there for Mo's birthday.
Got there Cinco de Mayo Comic Book Day.
he did the sign of the inverted cross for my birthday. Got free comic.
Right, exactly. Which is basically that's basically Free Comic Book Day Part 2. Got it.
Yeah, I did it when I walked into the comic shop, and they had an abundance of free comics, but not
Okay.
all of the free comics.
Okay.
Because that what is it, Thundercats, Powerpuff Girls? Nowhere
Yeah.
to be seen. Nowhere.
No,
Nothing.
that's because they ran out, or that's just because
I assume because they
Okay.
had everything set up at the back of the store.
Okay, so but on the Monday they were still giving away the free comics, so that's good.
Yeah. I still got like a
Because
ton.
listen, some comic book stores are like after Free Comic Book Day, they're like, we're charging for those books.
Yeah, because they pay for them.
Yeah, right, and they do pay for them. I don't want to make it seem as though like they get them for free. You're right. Like retailers pay for the comics that they give away on Free Comic Book Day.
So it's funny. I got 2 free comics, and then I got Batman, and then I got Godzilla versus Hulk.
Got it. Okay.
So I got 2 free comics, and then what I came out with, I didn't notice. The girl put in like practically what I got, and then like 3-4 other issues of what I didn't get. So I got.
So she gave you some free comics just on GP.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, oh, here you go. And I didn't know. I thought the kid put them in my bag. Like, oh, you forgot your shit. No, I got my shit. So, but
Okay.
Godzilla versus Hulk, very, very related to Thunderbolt Ross.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, and like I know that or at least if I'm not mistaken, Marvel's doing a series of like books with Godzilla right now, right?
Yeah. The
And
one
this is the first one?
I'm not sure if it's related to that. Like it's Godzilla, but I don't know if they're in conjunction.
Got it.
I don't know. I don't know what the time frame is for Godzilla attacking the cities in that series.
Okay.
In Godzilla versus Hulk, it's happening in the 80s.
Got it. Interesting. And it's like Green Hulk?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It's very very 80s Hulk. It's very, very campy.
Yeah. Hey, listen, and
a goofy little comic.
that's
Yeah, it's a goofy little
80s Godzilla and 80s Hulk are a match made in heaven.
Yeah, it's Hulk is waxing poetic to everybody. So it's an interesting comic.
There it is. Like in a comic book where you have Hulk and Godzilla, Hulk has to be the one that carries the dialogue.
yeah, and he tries. He does a good job.
All right. Otherwise, you got two people just going. Ah,
And the funny thing is, they don't even have dialogue for Godzilla. Like you get no,
of course,
not even a grr. You get nothing.
Oh, really? Godzilla doesn't roar in the whole book? I don't believe that.
Did he roar?
It wasn't a speech bubble. It was the behind
he did.
him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, exactly. I'm about to say, listen, he definitely roars. It wasn't a speech bubble. It was the letterer, but it was like it looked like it was like image, but it was actually a roar.
The majority of the story is carried by fucking Thunderbolt Ross and his little outfit under Thunderbolt ranch or whatever.
Whoa, I don't know what
like
that is.
Doc Samson or and all those or what?
No, it's a ranch that he has in Texas.
No, but the people that he's like working with, like
No, ranch, Moses, horses.
oh
I'm joking. I don't know.
No, what did you say, Mo?
no, I was thinking like Doc Samson or like the other like the people that work with him.
I didn't. So it's continuing off of a story that I don't know if it was made or not.
That's fair.
So, like, there's people working for Thunderbolt, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But one is a Banner in disguise.
See, what I will tell you is this. What I'll tell you is this, Hecht, is that sometimes, like, you know, a thing that Marvel's been doing lately is they'll have like random like series that they don't seem like they're connected, but they are.
Yeah.
So it might be like, say, Godzilla versus Hulk, but then they have like 5 of them where it's Godzilla versus different people in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And so it's like Godzilla versus Spider-Man #1, Godzilla versus like friggin' Captain America #1, Godzilla versus Hulk #1. And you don't even realize that you're reading like the 3rd issue of a series because they're all #1s. Because Marvel's like
the Murder World books that I hated.
Right, exactly, right. And look, the Murder World books are good, but it's like it should have been a thing where they should have let you know that it's like, you know, like, dude, just tell people it's in a series so we can get all of them.
And I can see, like, I could totally see them being in a series like one after the other. I just didn't care about the other books because it was what Spider-Man, definitely. I want to say Fantastic Four versus Godzilla.
Yeah, no, I'm certain there's a whole series of these books. I just don't know what they are because I'm not following. Because I don't have any interest in seeing Godzilla fight Marvel heroes.
But something happened where they assumed Banner and the Hulk were dead.
Oh.
So Banner's working for Thunderbolt, unbeknownst to him, apparently.
Because he's in disguise. Got it.
Yeah. And they're in the underground facility that Thunderbolt has. And it turns out that he has fucking 2 Mechagodzillas. 2 of them.
Of course. Not because one's not enough.
Exactly.
Why don't you just have one Mechagodzilla?
Yeah.
Lame. Poor.
And there was something where they couldn't be piloted remotely, so somebody had to do it. So it was Thunderbolt and this mysterious other guy who turns out to be Banner.
Oh, I love it.
And
it looks like it's issue 2 and 2 of 6.
Right. What are the other 6, Jay? Do you know?
I do not.
That's
I will
fair.
look that
But
up.
right. Yeah, take your
If you
time.
want less,
No
if you
worries.
want less confusion, you can get the Godzilla versus books on IDW, and they're all standalone stories. And it's like Godzilla versus Chicago, Godzilla versus Los Angeles, Godzilla versus like he attacks different cities.
Those are the ones that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Wait, so Godzilla versus Cities is an IDW book, and they're like one shots?
Yeah,
It's
a series. Yeah, he's going across the U.S. So it's technically a series, but they're all like self-contained.
They're all self-contained. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like that's a great idea. Giving props to IDW.
You could thank me and Jay for those.
Right. Thank you, Moses and Jay.
So I got
Jay
it.
for the logo, but yeah.
It's Fantastic Four, Hulk, Spider-Man, X-Men, Avengers, and then Thor.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing where it's like, don't get me wrong, like the arcade one, I actually was like all for, but like Godzilla for whatever reason, like I'm a fan of Godzilla, but I don't want to see Godzilla fight Marvel superheroes. Like I liked, what I will say is like when they did like the alien stuff, I'm like that actually was interesting to me, and I liked the alien crossover
Yeah,
stuff.
they did that well.
They did it really well.
So
I'm actually writing a Hulk versus Predator one. It's gonna be.
Look,
It's gonna
I
be
would-
just.
I would-
It's gonna be a 4-panel comic strip.
I would buy that even if I didn't know you, Moses.
the Hulk one is number 2.
Yes.
Well, then they're all fucked after that one. There's a twist. There's a twist in the comic, and I don't see anybody
Recovering
winning
from
it.
that.
Yeah, nobody.
There it is.
Just don't make Godzilla mad. That's all I'm saying.
That's the hey. That look.
Camera
That
rating.
sounds like wisdom. Good job, Heck. Look, Heck. What is that? The only thing you want to talk about comic book wise?
I'll talk about that book that Oz mentioned when we were ending last week.
Which book is that?
The All-In special.
From last-
The Booster Gold book.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So the
The one I didn't
2025,
Yeah.
like the free comic book day one.
no, 2024.
Oh, the one from before.
Yeah,
Wait,
That
got
remember
it.
That's
The
what I told
original
you.
one.
I told you I got the wrong one.
where'd you get the one? Did you get the one from this year?
Yeah, I got the one for this year with Dan Slott's Superman on it.
Yeah, the one in my avatar that looks
Yeah,
constipated.
yeah. So I didn't get to read. I didn't get to get that other one. I got this one.
So
So you guys speak among yourselves.
I read it, and then I found out there's a trade, and then I read that.
Wait, what's the trade of?
The trade starts with the last issue of Absolute Power, goes into the special, then gives you the first issue of Justice League Unlimited, and then the Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman that came out around the same time. I don't remember the numbers, but they're all
Okay.
related. They're related to that time frame.
So it's like an absolute power, like not what is it called when it's after the story? Prologue.
Yes,
Epilogue
and
is after.
Epilogue. Thank you, Jay. Jesus.
it's
Thank you, Jay.
I
it's-
love how Jay makes you like he looks down at you like you're stupid. Like,
Hey,
like he's
hey,
like
hey,
he's dark
hey,
side looking out the window, like he's just with his
Hey,
hands behind his back. Like,
guess what? Jay
It's
doesn't look
epilogue.
at me like that, Moses. Only you do, okay?
so it's
I don't know. He kind of was looking at you. Like,
No. He
Like
helped me.
even when
Like
he did
you,
so,
Moses.
he looked like dark
He's
side
like-
about to do the Omega beam.
He was like, I'm not gonna have my friend out here looking like a dummy. Let me help him. And that's what Jay did. What you did, Moses.
Larry's
was like-
an idiot.
Let me emphasize the wrong part. Or the right part. Whatever. I don't care. I make mistakes. I'm human. Unlike Darkseid.
But we
Goddamn.
expect more from you, Larry.
I know it. And that's why I'm trying to fly
The
away like
audience.
Superman if he
All
had-
three of them expect more from you.
Oh, wait, which three?
I don't know. Tacklon's not listening to this.
so it's as much of an epilogue of Absolute Power as it's a prologue for Absolute.
Right. Because that year it does both, right? It's like legit, like you said, epilogue for Absolute Power, and then which is technically like all the Watchtower stuff that they were doing that year.
Yeah,
That's like the prologue for all the Watchtower stuff, and then it's like the introduction for Absolute before the Absolute stuff launched, right?
yeah,
Okay, right.
and
Because that's the issue where they actually like. Is that the issue where they actually like I mean, quote unquote defeat Darkseid, where he actually becomes like it's the catalyst for the Absolute Universe, right?
yeah, because if you read that special, it's 2-in-1 where they
Right.
defeat him, but then it's like the beginning.
Right. And they're like, where did Darkseid go? Because they're like, Darkseid doesn't like leave.
Because he has dialogue where he's dead, where he dies, but he's talking to somebody that you don't see. So when you read the second part, you see what's going on. And then you're like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, like I'm
So
talking about
did
the
you
way I
not
am
read
only
it?
because I don't all the way remember, just because it wasn't this year. It was like last year. Wait, what'd you say, Jay?
Oh, I was asking if you got a chance to read it.
Me?
Yeah, the all-in special.
Well, are you talking about the one from this year or the one from last year?
Last year.
I'm pretty sure I did read it last year, but I'm trying to remember it because again, it was like a year ago.
The first story, it's it's two stories. It's Alpha and Omega.
Mm-hmm.
The first story is the creation of Justice League Infinite, as they're just recruiting everybody, especially Booster Gold. The greatest
Is
superhero
it
of all
called
time.
Justice League Infinite?
Unlimited.
Unlimited. Sorry, same.
Okay, I was just about to say, like, I'm just trying to remember. I'm just like,
I'm surprised
it
it's
was
not
unlimited.
Justice League Absolute.
Well, no, but it should be unlimited, like the TV show.
So they're forming the Justice League, talking about, you know, we need to step up and all this, whatever. Darkseid shows up like super powered, like roided up too. Like he's just messing everybody up. And then
I mean, this is from last year.
Yeah.
So that joint, I mean, so it's not much of a spoiler because he's like merged with like Spectre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that, I don't think
So.
they
I definitely
know that
got the wrong one, right?
Well, no, but
Yeah.
wait, but is that the one? Is that the one you were saying that we should read, Oz?
Yeah.
That's the one I mentioned because last week was when I hadn't read it, and I know he had merged with Spectre and got killed for it. I didn't realize that's what started the Absolute Universe.
Well,
I found
you're
that
a
out
fake
last
DC
week.
fan, fake ass
We-
DC fan. No,
I had to read it because we read New Gods, and the reason New Gods happens
right.
is because of
They're like,
Darkseid.
where's Darkseid?
Yeah.
Yeah, Darkseid.
And
Right.
like, and even reading New Gods, it felt like Absolute New Gods, like the way
Right.
it was, you know. So it's like, why isn't that part of the Absolute universe, you know? But
So that's
Well,
why they chose
there's a
that.
good reason why it's not Absolute Universe.
I know
'cause
that
it's-
now, Larry. Had you been on the show last week, we could have figured that out.
Yeah, and
Listen, man.
I'm not.
If I
couldn't
could
get-
have, I
couldn't
would have
get
prevented my
into-
grandma from dying. I promise.
Yeah.
I
She's
couldn't
always
get into
ruining
the
the
Absolute
show.
Universe enough to pick that book up when it came out.
Wait,
and I'm
say that
glad-
again, Oz?
I didn't pick that book up when it came out because I couldn't get into the Absolute Universe. Like we read some of those first issues, and I was just
No,
like, nah.
but that all happened before the Absolute Universe even launched. Like,
Yeah,
this is
but I
like-
knew it was coming.
But
I
the
knew it was
issue
coming.
didn't come out for
That's what he
Free
says.
comic
Meanwhile,
book.
he didn't know about that issue.
Wait. that didn't come out for Free Comic Book Day. Heck,
no. According
out
to
in
everything I
December.
read, it came out in October.
Oh.
Or it's an October book. It might have come out in December.
oh, you know what? That's because it wasn't Free Comic Book Day. It was the All-In Special,
Yeah.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Which is not Free Comic Book. You're right. It wasn't. It's not Free
Oh,
Comic Book Day.
now who
Wait, I
feels
actually
silly?
do have that. Hold on.
God damn it, Mo.
It's right here.
Yeah, let's play Moses. I
The
agree.
Absolute
Moses.
books, we were reading those after Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And
No,
and
we weren't reading them after Comic
no,
Con.
and I
We-
bought, I
we
bought
did,
a white
'cause we
cover
know
of
we
that
got
book too.
previewed them
Yeah.
before at Comic Con.
Same thing. Same thing.
I do have that book here somewhere too. Damn it.
And the thing about the All In special is that I don't know if you guys felt it. Reading the Absolute books, there's this like lack of hope. Like there's
Right.
like there's just you want hope, you want something, and there's just a lack of it. Like why is it so dreary?
Yeah.
Like I understand it's hardcore, but
I like that.
what the fuck happened? And the book ties it in. It's on purpose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like the legit, like the genesis of the Absolute Universe is that it's like that universe is like dark side energy,
No,
and like that's like
it's dark side energy, but it's dark side. Like
Right,
he
that's
put,
what I'm
he
saying.
put that shit together.
right.
Like-
This, well, are we saying the same thing?
That's why Wonder Woman's the way Wonder Woman is.
Right. Like that the absolute universe is basically what if the DC universe was like devoid of hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence why Superman is like how Superman is, and why Batman and Wonder Woman like that. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I feel like that's like a little less of a thing you get from like say the other like it makes a perfect sense with like the Trinity. Like when you go like one rung down, like I'm not sure that is as much how you feel about like Green Lantern, Flash. I haven't read Martian Manhunter yet, so I don't know.
You're
about
doing
that
yourself
Still?
a disservice.
What the hell?
No, I agree. No, I'm just behind. It's not that I don't want to read it. I'm just behind.
They made him
And, like,
white.
Okay. Well, that feels devoid of hope.
List.
That's the only hope. That's the only hope that there is in that universe, that he's white.
The Great White Hope.
Yeah.
Great White Hope.
Usually he's a black man, but he's white here.
Yeah. Oh, hey. So yeah. So but yeah, that was like the whole premise of the absolute universe, and so it definitely feels that way with the Trinity, at least to me. Which the Trinity, for all intents and purposes, sets the tone. But I feel you. And if you don't know, you may not know, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Like this is the beauty of the absolute universe, right? Like you don't need to know any of that stuff to enjoy those books.
When I didn't know it, I was enjoying it more.
You
Right.
didn't need to know, but I feel like you're gonna need to know.
Well, when you read this one, you're kind of you kind of need to know.
Now, why do you say that, Mo?
Well, just because it feels like there's going to be an event coming up where they all have to come together a little bit, or at least all the titles. So it's teasing that,
Yeah.
The All-In Special Edition 2025 #1 for Free Comic Book Day. That wasn't free because it was a white cover. So,
well,
yeah.
I feel. Look, that's something you got to take up with your own comic shop.
No, I get, but again, it was like they pay for the comics, so it's like a 1 in 25 incentive thing or whatever.
Oh,
so they only got a few. Yeah,
you.
so granted,
the white cover.
The white cover comes like every time you order 25, you get one. So
got it.
I don't know how many they got, but if I see a white cover, I'm getting it, and so I got that. And then I got the Riley Rosmo Absolute Batman #4 variant. That's a 1 in 25 also.
It's a beautiful book.
That wasn't free
either. Well, again, listen, I'm not gonna be mad at it
was my birthday weekend, man.
I'm not gonna be mad at you or a comic book shop for charging for incentive covers.
If it was your birthday weekend, why didn't Lawrence pay for them?
Ooh,
I wasn't with him.
Well, he was grieving,
but I wasn't even there.
Yeah, no, I went by myself. Yeah.
He wasn't even there. I'm not surprised.
And they charged me too, like because my comic book shop does it for charity too. So for every $1 you donate, you get a free, like you get more free books.
He wasn't there for you, and he wasn't there for charity.
Yeah, for the Long Beach Rescue Mission.
Left Mo alone on his birthday.
I thought the stripper from. Never mind.
She sells comics out of her.
That's the charity I support.
So Jay, real quick, what did you read?
For what?
All of those?
Did
you read like the 2025 Free Comic Book Day joint, or did you read like the all-in special from October, or did you read both?
Yeah, I read both. Just in case.
Oh, did we lose Oz?
He's leaving already.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to like rate those before you go, Jay?
Sure.
Or have anything you want to say about them before we go and then rate them? Feel free. Like, I just want to make sure you get your say.
No, they were good. I enjoyed them. I like seeing what happened on Dark Side. It was like pretty cool.
That's fair. You want to give a rating for one of the books or both, whichever you prefer?
Yeah. The All-In Special 2024 was like a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. The 2025 one was I don't know, 3 out of 5. Even though I did enjoy the writing. there's one scene with Lois Lane talking to her new boss that is really good. Like, where she's telling her, like, hey, you want to know what Clark's doing? He's doing his job. Like,
Yeah.
So listen, I felt that same way too, where I was just like, and here's the thing, like I get it. Like Home Chick is like, she had like a billionaire husband and she like got divorced and so she got half and so she's a billionaire too. And I'm not mad at that by any means, I get it. But it's like the way that she messed around and came at Lois Lane was like, dude, like it's not that you said something, it's that you didn't have to say it like that. Like she said it to him or to her, I'm sorry, she said it to Lois Lane like, oh, your husband's trash. Look at him dipping out at the biggest moment of your life. And it's like, well, first of all, you don't know Lois Lane's life. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is big for you, or you think it's big for her. It may be like her third biggest moment. It's not like it's not big. I'm not trying to mess around and be like, okay, like, you're nobody. But it's like, you don't know her life. Then you're calling her husband trash, and it's like, dude, like, all I'm saying to you is like, leave a little bit of like runway for interpretation, where it's like, hey, like, if you notice her husband's leaving in this moment and you feel like he should be there, you'd be like, hey,
Yeah, but she's projecting because her husband was trash and she got $500 million.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, dude,
but that's
like,
the type of character that is. Like, that's
I'm like, where's your husband going? Why won't he?
All she had to do to get her husband had to like create an empire to get $500 million. All she had to do was spread her legs and then divorce him.
Well, now you're minimizing her contribution to the relationship. You don't know their relationship.
Again, but that's what you're doing to her in that moment right now. Like, talking about
but
her.
listen, no, yeah. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not talking about. Look, you're having a conversation about her relationship. I'm not talking about her relationship.
No, but like. I'm talking about Lois. What she's doing to Lois, like you're putting a bunch of stuff on her. Like you don't know what she went through in that relationship to like hate men that way.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. Is like her projection got nothing to do with Lois Lane. Is what I'm saying. I agree. We're on the same page on that regard. It's like you should do it different. It's like your husband was trash. Maybe I don't know.
That's the beautiful tapestry that is world building in comics.
what I'm saying, look, and Lois Lane handled it like a G. Lois, like Jay said, she's like, hey, listen, my husband, I get it. He's dipping out, but guess what? He's doing his job. Like, I got promoted, so he got my old job. And guess what his job is? To follow Superman. So guess what? If he's dipping out right now, Superman's dipping out because you know how Superman work, right? That means he got to work like Superman. He don't know powers. He got to mess around and catch a cab to try to catch Superman right now. So, he working. Don't worry about him, which is like, we all hope to have a wife to have our back like that. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, yeah, like even give Lois the opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm surprised he's leaving too. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you don't have to be like, oh, your husband's trash. I can't believe it. It's like, you could just be like,
but
wow, where's he going?
That character, like that character is gonna be like you're gonna see more about this character, like be more like that in these later issues. Like
you very well might be right. Maybe
this is the same thing where because remember, like when Dan Slott knows his way around a newsroom and a media conglomerate,
right?
And a lot of these characters, like Betty Brant, or Phil and all these people, like they're all characters in the Daily was it the
Daily Planet?
But the Bugle went back when he was doing Spider-Man.
Oh,
like there was as much characters in that office as there were in the superhero book, and that's what's going to happen here in the Daily Planet. So he needs to make these characters stand out and different, and that's you're going to get more of that character being that way because that's who this asshole is.
Right. Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting because now what I will say about this special is, I was excited because you did have like Dan Slott doing the writing, right?
Yeah. And
you had Raphael Albuquerque doing the art. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I was ready because I'm just like that feels in very much like a match made in heaven for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, and not just because, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like there's no part of me that's gonna be like Dan Slott automatically is a great writer for Superman, but I can definitely see it. Like, it feels like that would be the case. And then Raphael Albuquerque, like, I enjoy his art tremendously, and so I'm just like, oh, okay, like Raphael Albuquerque doing the art for Superman, that sounds like a good look. And look, Heck mentioned it earlier, man. I was actually not impressed with the art in this book. Now, don't get me wrong, I can totally accept and understand, like, the caveat is it is a free comic book day book. And, you know, like, free comic book day is like, that's like, you know, that's your boss giving you extra work, you know? Like, and I'm not saying he doesn't get paid for it. I'm just saying that, you know, like, Raphael Albuquerque is going to be, like, he is the artist for Superman right now, too, right? Or going to be the artist for Superman?
He is.
I don't know.
For Superman Unclaimed.
Unlimited? Not unclaimed. Is that what you said?
Unchained.
Yeah.
Oh, Unchained. Oh, I think you said unclaimed. I was like, unclaimed.
I'll unclaim it if the art's gonna be like that, man.
Right. No, and that's the whole thing where I'm just like, I was not very impressed with the art for this book. And like, even like there was like a panel, like the first panel actually, where you see like Clark Kent. And I was just like, he looks weird. Like he looked like he almost had like a mustache or whatever. Like, I'm gonna see if I can bring it up real quick. Hold on. Because I was just like, what in the world? Like
little ink lines.
Yeah. Look, and you know what? I'm gonna pull it up, Bo. I got it right here. Hold on. I got it right here. But I was just kind of like taken aback by that, where I was just like, this is not what I'm used to from Albuquerque like this, right? So there it is. Like that joint looks weird.
Yeah.
Where it's just like even like Home Chick's hand. Look at her hand.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, why? And again, I in my mind, I was just like, okay, well, I gotta just like attribute this to the idea that this might have been like an issue that was like on top of what he's doing for his monthly stuff, and maybe he just had to like rush it out, you know?
Have you seen those videos where they have an artist and they're like, this is a sketch in a minute, this is a sketch in 10 minutes, this is a sketch in an hour? That looks like a 10-minute sketch.
Yeah, and you're right. That's 100% what it is. Heck. Whereas like he looked like he was on like a really super tight deadline, and it just didn't pan out the way that we're used to seeing from Albuquerque.
I did like some of like the Watchtower scenes, and then the more Superman scenes, and a lot of the issues I had were more in the office setting scenes. Like, so I don't know if he's better at actiony stuff, or, you know.
I hear,
but it's also part of it. I think is he does have to draw things in a DC style, you know, and we've known him to be more of a horror and independent artist, you know, with a little more freedom. But then I'm like, I read a book like Huck, and it's like he did the art there, and that's like a Superman story for all intents and purposes, dealing with different aspects of a Superman character's type of life. And he had all the freedom there, and it was amazing. The art there was amazing.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
It was art like I'd never seen him do, because I'm so used to more of the horror-y, darker-y, grittier stuff, you know. So I wouldn't hit this knock against him. I mean, the story I would rate it on the you know, it would take points off for the art, but I don't think it's him. It's his detriment. Like maybe it's like like I love that.
No, it's much better. It's much better. It like and that's why I put it up, where it's like this is like in complete contrast to what we saw in The Office, and so he might have done like this stuff first, and then had to quickly do like these other scenes, or you know, who knows? Like sometimes scripts change.
There's another one where he like when he comes up and then the sun's shining behind him, and I don't know if it's just like let's see what page.
I know what you're talking about. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Hold on. Yeah, because again, it was another thing where I was just like, okay, that's a different scene where it's like, okay, like, but it was like better, you know?
Yeah.
Or this right here, right?
Yeah. And the art itself isn't, it has its issues on the face, but but look at that.
But it's still better.
But yeah, and then the light kind of hides whatever issue because the effect is like it's almost like an Alex Ross panel where you see the perspective of somebody from the ground.
Does he draw like that all the time with the lines?
He's very sketchy. Yeah, because I don't know if he does his own
sketchy,
but he I think he does, and but for he usually draws more like female characters and more fluid characters. Superman is more of a solid character, and I think that's where he has a little bit of a challenge. But when you look at Hook, it's like he's the same type of character, so I think there's something in the editorial here where they're like maybe there's too much pressure on them or something,
Something. I mean, listen, or even friggin' American Vampire.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody in American Vampire is kind of like more sleek and like fluid.
Not whatchamacallit, not Sweets. That fool's big. That fool's like Sabretooth, basically.
Yeah.
And which is like kind of the same build of a Superman.
Yeah.
And but at the same time too, like, he gets all the time he needs to get that done.
Yeah.
Versus, exactly, which is different.
And editorial's not like telling him how, like he designed that character. So
100%. Right. I agree. Right. So there's a difference. So look, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not gonna mess around and say like, oh, it's about like strictly DC editorial, because that could be part of it. But at the same time too, it's like, dude, Raphael Albuquerque, like, like we're talking about the stuff he did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That fool's much hungrier then.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm not trying to say like, oh, well, he needs to like starve in order to be good again. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, look, it's like a Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor don't fight like he used to when he had something to prove.
Well, but there is something to be said for that. Like, because even like, watching a young, like Jamie, I heard this in an interview, Jamie Foxx watching the dude from Friday do stand up.
Cat Williams?
No, the other dude from the first Friday. The dude from Rush Hour.
You're talking about friggin' Chris. Well, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Right.
Chris Tucker. Like, after, like, he remembers, like, going to do stand up and having Chris Tucker, a hungry Chris Tucker, go in front of him after he did like In Living Color. He still wasn't like Academy Award winner Jamie Foxx,
right?
He had done In Living Color and everything. And he's like,
right.
And he's seeing that and he's like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? Like, I can't follow that,
Right.
Right. Then Chris Tucker did an interview seeing the same thing for like Cat Williams,
Right. No, 100%.
He goes, what the fuck am I gonna do now? Like, and then they kind of have to go a little. You gotta keep that hunger, that fire burning somehow.
100%. Absolute. So so who knows? Like again, I'm not gonna judge
like that. Real quick is when Black Sabbath did their last album, like they Rick Rubin told Ozzy, you gotta get like you were in the 60s if you're gonna make, like, you invented heavy metal. How are you gonna reinvent heavy metal now? Like, are you gonna reinvent it or are you gonna be part of it? But you need to have a heavy metal mindset. So then, Ozzy broke sobriety and did a bunch of coke, and then they recorded that album.
But that's what's real. Yeah, look,
great album from old dudes making the new heavy metal album, which is at old dudes that make new albums. Like, it's one of the best. Yeah,
right. And so, I mean, it's just one of these things where, I'm not going to hold it against him on this, just because, again, it's the Free Comic Book Day issue. Yeah. Like, I'll wait to see what like the monthlies look like.
Are you excited to read the monthly though after reading this with its faults?
No, absolutely. Like, the story was solid, and the art was good enough. You know, that was really the long and the short of it. Where it's like the store, like the art wasn't terrible. It just wasn't as good as I expect from Albuquerque generally. And so it was just like, okay, well, like I want to know what happens next. So I will definitely mess with that. So yeah, I mean that's really the long and the short of it there. So shoot, we should go ahead and just rate this joint, huh?
Yeah, I mean the other side was the absolute.
The Mirror Master story.
Yeah, and that was really good. And again, that's the one I talked about earlier, where it's kind of teasing an event or something, so you kind of have to know what it is. So, if anything, that might require its own review later. Well, we're already going into the tight.
Yeah, but listen, if you got something to say about it, we can say something about it. And here, let me show.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was worth $5 for a blank. And not only did I get a blank cover, I got 2 blank covers. I got the one on this side and then the one on this side.
It's a damn! I didn't even realize that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I got.
That's very I know. Like listen, the funny thing is, like, I know that generally speaking, like they'll do the especially the Marvel and DC will do the flip books for the because you gotta like maximize the amount of space that you're doing for the free comic book day offerings. But I didn't realize the blank cover was a blank cover on 2 different sides, and dude, that's well worth the money. Yeah, because you'll be able to get somebody to do something on one side and somebody to do something on the other side.
Like I need somebody that knows how to do Mirror Master well, like both iterations.
Let me side note real quick.
Yeah,
Mo, have you seen the facsimile for Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 1 issue?
No.
The number 1 issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I don't think it's number 1 because it's the one with Superman holding Supergirl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. So there's a facsimile, and it comes with not a white cover, but a blank cover.
Okay.
And I don't know if you had seen that or not.
No,
or if you even want it.
I haven't. I have been buying more like pivotal issues. Like I got the Swamp Thing yellow cover, and it's Swamp Thing 27, like the first appearance of John Constantine, and like different, like the Amazing Fantasy 15 white cover, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've been getting those pivotal issues, and like DC's been putting them out. They just don't put them as blank covers, like as white covers. They'll put them like green or like House of Secrets, like the Phantom Stranger's first appearance and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I had seen one of them with a blue cover. I don't remember what comic, but it's like a blue cover, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then they did like Harley Quinn. They did a pink cover for like a Valentine's Day issue, and then a white cover. Like there was 2 of them, and then I've been collecting those. But at this point, I'm just like, those are my physical comics.
Right.
Those everything else I get digitally.
And that's the only white cover I saw all day that day.
Man, that store's fucking up.
Well, I mean, it was on Monday, so probably sold everything.
People are buying them too, like that could be, Comic-Con's coming up, but yeah.
Indeed.
Another free comic book day issue that I want to talk about is this this Fantastic Four.
Man, I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's written by Ryan North and drawn by Humberto Ramos, and it's so cool because the story is like, it reminds me of the old Captain Universe stories where like the parents are playing with like occult shit, and the kid, and the devil comes out and tries to kill the parents, and then the Captain Universe comes in and possesses the baby and beats the fuck out of the demons and shit. Like, you ever read that issue?
Oh my god!
Like Captain Universe? Oh, dude, like so good. This is kind of what this is. It's like these kids are playing with this weird metal that like uses in the configuration of the molecules lined up when you crush it up and carve into it. So they make like a geometric shape, almost like a pentagram, but like in their world. And it actually pulls the Fantastic Four from, they were teleporting one way or another. So it creates a second, when you teleport, it's like one doorway this way and one doorway out on the way out. Yeah. And this creates one in between. So, and they essentially summoned, they did like an occult thing in that world and summon the Fantastic Four, but they also summon this like nameless, shapeless beast from some void in this part of the universe that was teleporting as well. Like so. Because they didn't close the door. So, and that's what it says. Like when they figured out, it's like, well, in this geometric pattern, it's like they did the geometry. It's like, oh yeah, this is like a configuration. It's almost like a Hellraiser ship of like more sci-fi instead of horror. And then, but this horror monster comes out, and the Fantastic Four has to beat the fuck out of it, and you know, and then use like geometry to like make sure they don't summon them again. And then of course the kids are like, we're just bored, we're gonna play it again. And then they summon the thing again. So the thing just comes back with a configuration. It's like anytime you need us, this is the configuration to summon us, you know? And so it's like the new series of Fantastic Four is called Strange New Worlds. And it's like they're gonna be traveling to these places. This is how this book kind of sets it up. And it's just really cool. Like it has that old like almost sci-fi like chaos of the week kind of thing, you know, going for like Slidersy, you know, at least from what I read here. So,
wow.
So I don't know if it's gonna stay that way or what the grand story is gonna be, but
right,
like, I had fun reading it, and especially with the movie coming out, like I thought they were gonna do something more closer to like what the movie's gonna be. Instead, they just gave me like a random Fantastic Four adventure, which is like. Those are my favorite Fantastic Four stories.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like just the sci-fi adventures, you know, like
right.
That's why I love Tom Strong. Yeah.
Right. No, Tom Strong's awesome. I agree.
Yeah.
That free comic book also had giant size X-Men in it too, right?
Good.
Oh,
I mean, you love it. You're gonna love it because
why would I love it?
Because it's a sci-fi. It's a Cyclops-based story that he's like trying to recruit a new X-Men team, like an official X-Men team after something that happened. I don't know. I haven't been reading the X-Men books, but it is like taking place from the Ashes stuff, you know?
Oh, it is. Okay,
yeah.
So it's not in the past.
It's not in the past. Like
Okay.
It doesn't. At least it doesn't feel like it. Like they literally give you ads for all the from the Ashes stuff, and then it says and now here, and then Cyclops has the inner monologue about like he lost his team and his family and his brother and to whatever happened. And since I haven't reading those, I feel kind of lost.
Got it.
And then yeah, so he has like I have a refugee and it's like Storm, I have a old soldier and it's Wolverine, and then he just beats the fuck out of all of them, and to see if they're worthy of wearing the X. Yeah. So, and it
Are you sure that it's not like supposed to be taking in the past though? Like
it could be. Like I said, I'm not reading because of how heavily they promoted the From the Ashes stuff that like they're doing now, leading and then in between the two stories. It feels like it's that, but and his costume it is kind of like an older costume, but then he changes it to like the more like 90s costume, which is what he has now, kind of, So,
gotcha.
I mean, it could be in the past, but I was hoping you read it so you could explain it to me. Like, the story itself,
I didn't get a copy.
The way he took out the other X-Men is like, yeah, it's cool. Like if you're a Cyclops fan, but it's like, come on, man! Like if this could do that all the time, like X-Men will be a tighter running ship, Like come on, get the fuck out of here.
Like Nightcrawler and Banshee in it?
Nightcrawler and Banshee were in it. Yeah, it was Nightcrawler.
Was Thunderbird in it?
Thunderbird, Storm, Wolverine, Colossus.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, dude, it's the like legit like giant size X-Men from like 1975. Because what happens is. Remember that, or you may or may not remember, but
the Claremont one, right?
I mean, yeah, like where it's like you have like the original X-Men get trapped, and Cyclops is the only one that gets away. They get trapped on Krakoa, and then that's like where the like when you talk about giant size X-Men, that's like the introduction of like Wolverine, Storm, and all those people, and
it makes sense.
Yeah, and so he's like, it's literally like showing you the stuff that happens like between the panels, where this new team of X-Men that we had never seen before,
and Sunfire's in it too.
That's the first appearance of the actual giant size X-Men. So they did like a in between story, like a you know. So okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're right. It is in the past because I forgot. Like it was one of these where Miss Marvel was in it, and she's the one that
see,
didn't get her ass beat. And
oh god, see now that's
Yeah.
so they are doing
yeah,
giant. They are doing X-Men books.
yeah. See, like even
where
this cover. Now that you mentioned this cover, is that
yeah,
old cover, but with her in it.
yeah, with her in it, right? And so they're doing a whole, like they're doing a series of books of Marvel books or X-Men books where it's like Miss Marvel in like the pivotal moments in X-Men
Yeah.
history, trying to cement her as a mutant, even though it's like she's an Inhuman. It's okay, whatever.
Well, if they didn't fuck up Eternals and Inhumans, like we could have had a better, like
Yeah,
could have been a
listen,
happier person.
listen.
Yeah.
Trust me, you and me both, friend. Because
Yeah, that was a waste of half a comic. Like thinking about, because that's
Right.
not like you know, like especially once you say it that way, it's like yeah, you're right. That is kind of like that is that, and I'm like it's what it is.
Yeah.
But the you know beautiful art from Alberto Ramos, you know,
That's cool. I'll take it.
and also like not phoned in, you know.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't have an issue necessarily. Like, even though it's not the choice I would make, but I don't necessarily have an issue with them trying to make Kamala Khan a mutant.
Yeah.
It's just they're trying too hard. Like, they got to relax on it a little bit. Like, if you like, the sad fact of the matter is the MCU is doing a better job of her being a mutant than the comics books are, and it's just like, dude, like, you know, like I get it. Like NYX, it's like that was a book that could have been a great book if Kamala Khan wasn't in it, but they wanted a mutant book with her at the center, and it's like she doesn't belong in that book. It just doesn't, like, she's the weird part of it. Her at the center of it is the issue mostly, and so it's just like, okay, well, but yeah, whatever.
So they're trying to shoehorn her into everything mutiny,
right.
When
And
she
that's
didn't
the whole.
start off
That's
as a
the whole.
mutant.
Right, and that's the whole thing where it's like shoehorn is the right word. Where it's like, dude, like she can be a mutant or transition into a mutant if that's what you want, but be subtle about it. But they're like, no one has the right kind of level of creativity to make that, like, that subtlety work. They're just like, okay, well, this is what it is now, and it's like, dude, like, why would it be that? Like, we were all here for when it wasn't that, you know. And even if we weren't here, it's just like, it just feels weird. Like, she doesn't feel like a mutant, you know. She feels like something else. She feels like she's like a tryhard, and it's like, dude, like, which is messed up because the character is a good character, and what they're doing, unfortunately, is proving like they're giving ammunition to all the naysayers from her from the beginning, because there are people that just didn't like her because they're like, oh, they feel like she's like DEI agenda, right? They're like, oh, so they decided they want to have a Muslim superhero, so, you know, they would talk mess about her in that way from the beginning, but the books were good. So it's like, okay, like, yay, we get it. You don't like it, but the books are good. Like, the character's not a bad character.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, the character actually is bad right now because you're trying to put a round peg into a square hole, and you're giving all the things that they were saying about her beforehand look like they were true the whole time, because you're trying to make her fit into something that she doesn't fit into. So it's like, it's hard to defend. So it's like, man,
DI,
you know, like, right, exactly. I'm just like, damn, this sucks.
And transitioning, that shit's gonna get banned, man.
Hilarious. And transitioning from an Inhuman to a mutant.
One of the best things about that series that they had on Disney Plus was like that one, like episode 4, that was like a movie about like the Pakistani, like,
right,
you know, like the genocide kind of thing, you know, where with
right.
Muslims and shit, like, and that was like actual history with superheroes, and I'm like, dude, like, you're trying to do shit in the past. That's what you should do here, like,
right.
Educate some motherfuckers, because that's what they're not getting it in fucking school, you know,
right,
you know, like, educate them through the fucking comics, you know,
right. No, it's true, man. And so, unfortunately, like, you know, it's just so weird because it's like I don't quite understand the idea of like, I'm not saying you abandon Miss Marvel by any means, because again, I think the character is a good character. But if
Especially
her
as she's
bait,
grown, because she's grown in the MCU.
Mhm.
Like, started as a young kid and now is like essentially like, I mean, she's an accomplished scientist too. Like, maybe she works until she died.
At
She was working
Oscorp, she
at
worked,
Oscorp.
yeah,
So it's like
right,
she's smart and everything too. So like the young lady she became is I was more into like that. That's one of the
Mhm.
aspects of Dark Web I liked with her in it was
right,
seeing her as a grown person now, and then they
right,
killed her, and they killed her in the
right,
yeah,
right. And so, you know, it just feels very clumsy. Her like, it reeks of the idea of like, okay, like, yeah, we get it. You wanted the Inhumans to be a thing because you didn't have the rights to the X-Men. Makes a lot of sense. Then the Inhumans thing didn't work out. Got it. And but Miss Marvel's a character. You're like, well, we still want to salvage that character, but the idea of making her a mutant instead of an Inhuman is a bad look, and it's just like it reeks of like the like a C-suite kind of decision where they're like, oh, okay, well, if she look, we made him like the Inhumans things didn't work, but we want Miss Marvel still, so because that's our only Muslim character, so we got our only mainstream Muslim character, so we got to make her a mutant now. And it's like, no, that's just not how these things work. Like, you can't be an Inhuman and a mutant, but I guess you can. Okay, cool. You can be both, but it's like, even if you're gonna say we can be both, it's like just be subtle. Like, relax. But they're not relaxing.
the whole the Terrigen Mist thing and all that kind of lends itself to like potentially being interpreted as kind of how mutants came to, so they
Oh
can
yeah,
be interconnected or
oh yeah,
related,
one hundred
so
percent.
her being
Yeah,
a hybrid of two can work, but again, you don't need to do these past like you don't like she could just be like the next breed, like or a side breed, like kind of like
or better yet, you don't mention her Inhuman origin at all, and just let her have superpowers, and
right.
just
And let
like
her
maybe
be
somebody will bring it up in the past, like
yeah
this thing is like, dude, like you can play down the Inhuman and just let her
yeah
be the character
right
she is,
yeah
because that's the thing, like her being an Inhuman wasn't necessarily a huge part of her
yeah
as a superhero. It's not like a mutant.
yeah
Generally speaking, being a mutant is a big part of your origin as a character because you usually are discriminated against or you lean into
yeah.
that identity for
She
yourself
didn't
or
have to live
whatever,
on Adelan. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Look, but that's the thing is like, yeah, she could literally like in the same way how like think about Miles Morales, right? How often do we bring up the fact that Miles Morales is a refugee from an alternate universe?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we don't ever bring it up. It's just he's the other Spider-Man. Done.
Yeah.
And it's like 100% Kamala Khan could have been that. But instead, we're all here trying to like make her a mutant because
Kamala.
but no, it's not. It's absolutely not Kamala. But yeah. So yeah. It's like, dude, she could have just been her own hero and that was it. But whatever. All right. It's time for us to get out of here. We should do some final thoughts. Yeah, like I'm ranting. I apologize. I didn't mean to be.
No.
We start talking about X-Men stuff. How dare you, Mo?
Yeah.
I blame Moses and Hecht and Joe and Oz for not being here. Those guys.
Well, if they were here, they'd be wagging the finger at you.
Just like
yeah,
this.
like that.
Just like this. All right. Heck, give me some final thoughts, buddy. Uh-oh, Heck, you lost.
I might have to try that again. Hey, sorry.
Say it again, Heck.
You got me? Am I here?
Perfect.
Yeah.
You sound
Okay.
great. Say it again.
I liked all the comic shit I got this week. I liked the beginning of that DC All In special. I like the trade. I like everything in it. I didn't totally read the All In special from this year, but I will.
Okay.
And I want to see where it goes.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. Moses Magnum, final thoughts.
Yeah, man. If you want to see the other stuff I got for Free Comic Book Day, there's a video up on our YouTube channel. You can
Check
click
it out.
here.
There it is. Folks, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, let us know what it is that you want us to talk about, what it is that what additional things you feel like you like, what you don't like, all that stuff. And with that said, we appreciate you hanging out with us. We're the Fantastic Forum. Have a good night.